Welcome back. To create a web application using Node.js, we need three main steps. The first step is to import required modules, which are required to run the activities we want to perform. The second step is to create the web server actually. And the third step is to write request and response. We will get the request from the client and we will write the response accordingly. So these are the major three steps. The server creates in the earlier step will read the HTTP request made by the client, which can be a browser or a console, or and return the response. The first step is to import required module. To import a required module, for example, for a web server, we need an HTTP module. What we will use? Require var http equal to require http. It will import all the functionalities of a web server into our application. This is all for the first step at the moment. For the second step, we have to create the server. To create a server, there is a built-in method of this HTTP module that is called the HTTP dot create server method. We use the created HTTP instance and call HTTP dot create server method to create a server instance, and then we bind it on a specific port. Like for example, in this case, we can bind it on 8081 or 8080 or any other port. Normally, we don't bind on port 80 because it can be possible that some other application is using the port 80, and there is a conflict between Node application or and your Apache application. Although we can use Node 80 if there is no other application running on that specific server. So we define the port using the listen method associated with the server instance. Pass it a function with parameter request and response. Write a sample implementation to always return hello. For example, in this case, what we are doing, http.create server, and we are writing the function request and response. In that method, we are writing the required response. Although it is our third step to explain, but the second step is to create server and uh, bind the server with a port. That is all for the second step. Third step is actually writing the response. To write a response, for example, in this case, a request comes into your system. We will check if the request is okay, or from which URL, for which method the request comes, and after that we will return the result or response. But in this case, in the simplest method, what we are doing, we are not checking what user had demanded, but we are responding with a standard output as a first code. What we are doing, response, we are writing the response dot write head. We are setting the header for our web application. What are those headers? Two things are there. 200 is actually http status codes. For a success, you have to send from the server 200 status code. We have seen this in Ajax also, that we are checking a status code of 200. That means server has sent us 200 status code. Now we are on a server side, so we are writing that status code to a client request. So response.writehead, first thing is the server code, and second thing is the MIME type. MIME type explains the type of content we are sending. In this case, we are telling the browser that we are sending the text slash plain. We are sending a simple text, not an HTML text. So it will display a simple text on the server, or on your browser, sorry, your browser. And response.end, we are ending our response with a simple string, that is hello world, with slash n, that means next line character. So we are sending this response to our server. We are writing the header of our client page, and we are sending a simple text line with hello world. and we are listening on 8081. Now the server will start listening on the client end, and it will continuously listening at port 8081. Now, what how you will execute it? Simply the same method. You will run the function node space the file name, and it will the server will be on the listening mode. You can open your browser and you can check from there. Let's do it. Uh, Go back to I have already written this code, the same code which I have written there. You can see here HTTP require HTTP dot create server function request response dot write header. We are sending to 100 and content type text plain response dot end hello world dot listen. We are listening on port 808. Let's uh, know what we will do. I will make it a little bigger for you. I will run this node application into the terminal of VS Code. You can run it from here. You can run it from your command prompt also. It is up to you. Like I have named this file as base.js. So what it has performed, it ran the code and provided me with this information, the server running on localhost colon 8083 8081, and when I click on this it will open it into my browser. You can see server is running. Our client browser has requested for slash, and it has provided me this. If I will write a dot html, although we have not created any page, but it will still return me hello world, because on our in our code we are not checking the request. What is the request? We are only sending the same output for every request. So if we call a.html, b.html, or any other request from the browser, it will return me the same information every time. So at the moment we have created our web server which is responding to the request and providing a standard output for every request. This is our first step. You can do this at your own also. You can check, you can create this http server. I will show you how you can if you want to write the code, how you can write the code. I have provided you the repository. I will show you the link also. To install a new module, there is an npm node package manager. A node package manager is automatically installed on your system. You can also check the version of your node package manager, like if I will npm minus v. Currently the node package manager is 6.14.6 is installed on my system, and you can see this version, how fast this npm is changing day by day. So you can install it is by default installed with the node package manager with your node installation. You can update your npm with npm I npm. No, it will update, it will install npm. If you can use also u for update npm. It will update the npm version if there is any new version available. So this is the way out. I is for installation, and u is for update. You can write the full npm install. For example, I want to install the express in this path, so I will use npm install express. It will install express into my system, into this specific folder, into this specific project. So there are two points. Either you can install it globally, or you can install it locally. If you install it globally, it means that module will be available in any project. We normally install express and mongoose and such modules which are required in around about every project, we install it globally. To install it globally, you will write the npm install the module name slash minus g. It will install globally. For example, if I want to install it globally, I will write npm install express minus g. Uh, in this case, this path does not matter. It will automatically install into basically uh, environment path variable repository as the environment path variable. And if I don't write this minus g, it will install this express module at this specific location, the node script. So these are the two mechanisms. Either you can install module globally, that means that module will be available in every project. You don't need to install it again and again and again. And if you just want to install this module for a specific project, you will install it locally, just like npm install express. Now it will install this express module in this folder only. So there are approximately 170 modules per day, adding up the rate of approximate 170 module per day in npm repository. So you can see this is npm repository from 2012, January 2012 to Jan 2014. It has crossed everyone. It has crossed. You can see there are number of repositories available related to different PHP, etc., etc. But npm has actually crossed everyone. Now, worldwide, only two basically repositories are working side by side. One is the npm and second is the python one. Pip. Last thing, you can get all the code from my repository and GitHub repository. There are a number of repositories available. For this specific starting point, you will use Node Basic repository. You will go to github.com/techmode and you will go to Node Basic repository, and you can get all the basic codes from there. There will be multiple files there. Every file will contain different type of codes which we will be performing into our lectures, into our qa sessions. So all those code will be available there. If it will not be available, I will actually upload there after the lecture also. So that is all from the today. Hopefully you have some understanding of the node and how to start with the node server. Inshallah, meet you in next lecture. Thank you.